This week you'll work on the research methodology section of your research paper. In this video, I want to define the purpose of this section and clarify some expectations before you get started. This section of your paper has a few different purposes. The first is to define what type of research you conducted. You're just giving a little bit of information so that anybody who reads it will be able to identify exactly what your research project was and what you were trying to find. You're also going to discuss any problems that you anticipated and what you did to avoid them. You're going to summarize how your data was collected and analyzed, and explain who your population is and how the sample was obtained. The required components of this section are listed on your template, but I wanted to go over them now as well. First, you're going to give an introduction. This introduction does not need a subheading. You'll just put it directly underneath your research methodology heading, but you want to include the introduction. Then the next three will have subheadings: research methods, population sample, and procedures. Just like in the last section, you want to make sure that you include an introduction so that your reader understands where you're going next in the paper. This introduction can be 1 to 2 paragraphs, and it's going to transition your reader into the methodology section. You're going to introduce the methodology briefly and transition to your first subheading, which is research methods. Within this section, you're going to identify whether your research was qualitative or quantitative in nature, maybe mixed methods as well. You want to define the role of the researcher. So tell exactly how you participated in the study. Are you a teacher within the classroom? Did you collect the data? Did you provide the intervention? What exactly did you do? Make sure in this section you include any biases that you have and what you did to avoid them. You may have gone into this with a lot of experience with your subject area, so you may have already had some preconceived notions about what your research might find, and you want to make sure that you are avoiding those biases as you're conducting your research and also writing your paper. Your next subheading will be population sample. In this section, you're going to define a little bit of information about the research site and your participants. Remember, this paper needs to be anonymous. So as you give your information, provide general demographics about the research site and the participants who participated in the study, but you want to make sure that you leave out any identifying information. You don't want to include the name of the school, the name of the district, even the name of the town. Definitely you don't want to include any student names, but you can gather some data from DESE on what the demographics of the site are. What is the free and reduced lunch percentage? What percentage of minorities do you have within the group? For the participants, you might include you have 17 students in the class. 3 of them have IEPs, 2 of them are gifted and talented, those types of things. But you want to only provide general demographics and make sure that you leave out any identifying information. Your final subheading for this section will be procedures. Under this subheading, you'll want to include a paragraph on the procedures that you used for data collection and another paragraph on the procedures you used for data analysis. What exactly did you do to collect this information? Remember, as you're drafting each of these sections, look back at the course resources and see what other students have done in the past. Also, the information that you read in your textbook will be helpful for you here as well. Chapter 4 covered how you designed your research study, and Chapter 8 covers how you're going to write up your research study. So if you come across a section that you don't understand, refer back to the textbook and see what you can find. Finally, this section will need a conclusion and transition to the next section as well. You don't want to just stop talking about methodology all of a sudden. So this does not have its own subheading, but you want to include a paragraph that summarizes what you just wrote about and transitions your readers to the next section. Before I let you go, I want to go over the expectations of what you're going to be graded on as we grade your formative submission and your final copy. This section should be 1 to 2 pages in length. You need the required heading of methodology, and the required subheadings are research methods, population sample, and procedures. Don't forget, you need to follow APA format. So that includes all of the guidelines on spacing, organization, font, size, all of that we've gone over in the past. Check your grammar and make sure that you're writing at a formal master's level writing. We're not writing a narrative paper here. This is a research paper, and there are certain guidelines that you must follow when you are writing research papers. Last but not least, I wanted to provide you with a very specific checklist to use as you're drafting your paper, but also before you submit your paper. Think about these questions. Did you include a clear, developed description of your research methods, including whether it's qualitative or quantitative and the role of the researcher? Did you include a section describing the demographics of the research site and participants, but leave out any identifying information? Did you include a section for research procedures? Did you describe your data collection procedures thoroughly and your data analysis procedures thoroughly? Did you provide a conclusion that summarizes the section and transitions to the next? Did you follow APA format for spacing, organization, any references you use, etc.? These final things are just good practice for you in this class and all classes moving forward. Did you use a program such as Grammarly or Word to double check your spelling and grammar? Those programs out there make it really easy for you. Is your paper written as a master's level research paper? Did you leave out things like I or in my class I see that? And finally, have you read the previous feedback let me start over. Have you read the feedback that your professor has given you on previous sections so that you avoid making the same mistakes within this section? When you're ready and you're sure that you've accomplished each of the things on this checklist, submit only a Word document to your Blackboard folder.